Jessica Lange walked away from one of the most celebrated roles of her later career. Not in anger, not in conflict, but with the quiet certainty of someone who had learned, through decades of brutal experience, exactly how much of herself she was willing to give. To understand that decision, you have to go back to the beginning, to a broke, untrained young woman from Minnesota who somehow talked her way into a Hollywood blockbuster, with nothing but nerve and a background in mime. Born in 1949 in Cloquet, Minnesota, Lange studied art at the University of Minnesota before moving to Paris, where she trained under renowned mime artist Etienne Decroux. She returned to New York with no acting credentials and no industry connections, which made it all the more remarkable when producer Dino De Laurentiis cast her as the lead in his 1976 remake of King Kong. By her own account, she walked into that audition with nothing to lose, and somehow came out the other side with the part. But fame, when it arrived, came at a cost. Critics dismissed her, the studio treated her more like a marketing prop than an actress, and she didn't work again for 3 years. She spent that time studying seriously, determined to earn what she'd stumbled into. What followed was one of the most extraordinary single years in Oscar history. In 1982, Lange received nominations for both Best Actress, for her devastating portrayal of Frances Farmer in Frances, and Best Supporting Actress for her comedic turn in Tootsie. Only one other actress had ever achieved that in the same year. She won Supporting Actress that night. Best Actress went to Meryl Streep. The two women, born just 2 months apart, would be quietly measured against each other by an industry that loved a rivalry, whether either of them wanted one or not. Her personal life during this period was equally complicated. While filming Frances, she and co-star Sam Shepard, who was married at the time, developed a relationship that would define the next 27 years of her life. The circumstances were messy and painful for everyone involved, but what emerged was one of Hollywood's most private and enduring partnerships, producing 2 children and, by her own description, a bond unlike anything else she'd experienced. By 2011, Lange had 2 Oscars, a Tony, and one of the most respected bodies of work of her generation, and she still said yes to a strange new horror anthology series called American Horror Story. She agreed to 1 season. She stayed for 4, playing some of the most theatrical, uncompromising characters on television, and picking up 2 Emmy Awards along the way. But after Freak Show wrapped, she stepped back, and she's been honest about why. 4 consecutive years of 6-month commitments was simply too much to keep giving indefinitely, regardless of how good the material was. There was no falling out with creator Ryan Murphy, whom she continued collaborating with on Feud, and an eventual 2-episode return to AHS. She just knew when her story within that world was finished. More recently, she's spoken candidly about pulling back from acting altogether, frustrated by an industry she feels has replaced genuine storytelling with franchise economics, and replaced patient, character-driven filmmaking with frantic editing that never lets an actor's face breathe on screen. That's the thread running through all of it. From King Kong to Broadway, to a circus tent in her 60s, singing David Bowie live, Jessica Lange has always known exactly what she has to offer, and she has never once given away more than she chose to. If this one resonated, hit like and subscribe. There's so much more to explore about the people who shaped Hollywood's greatest era.